Hello and welcome to the Seventh Rule with Sirach Lofton and our special guests, the Nog Visitor and Luciano. My name is Ryan T. Husk, and we are celebrating Aron Eisenberg. How you guys doing?
Really good. How are you?
Awesome.
Doing good.
So we want to hear a little bit about Luciano just to start off.
Luciano is my silly parrot. He's a black-headed Kaik, and he's 11 years old now. He speaks a little bit, not much around other people, but you'll probably hear him laugh heartily. We laugh at something, he'll usually have a joke.
Where are they usually found? Where
They're South American.
Wow, that's nice.
And you said that he's wearing, what's he wearing?
A tuxedo?
Yeah, it's a sexy word for a diaper. They call it a flight suit.
Oh.
I love that.
Yeah.
He found that funny too. He's like, yeah, it's my diaper.
It's a flight suit.
Makes it sound so adventurous.
I know.
I take a flight every day. I didn't realize, but that's what it is.
How so, Sirach?
We'll not get into that. We'll not get into that.
So we're here, obviously, to celebrate our life and memories with Aron Eisenberg. He's been in our lives for many years. For you guys, 27 years he was in your lives. Ever since Nana was 3. And so we want to kind of go back and, if possible, do you remember the first time you met him? Like, was it on a table read? Was it on set?
It was most likely on set, and with everybody in the cast, I have to say, it became like you don't know where it started and it never ended. So I don't have any recollection of the first time, but it was continuous. It was this spirit, and it didn't change. It didn't get ground down, which is so unusual. You know, he brought joy, and he stayed in that space the whole time. Do you remember the first time, Sirach?
No, that's funny, because when you said that, I was trying to think of the first time for me. And I know it was on set filming a scene, but I just can't remember the first moment. But what jumped out in my head was how endearing he is over the time, where you don't really remember where it begins, but you do know that it's like, it feels like it was always there. You just can't pinpoint the moment. Right. And I like the way you put that.
You know, Nana, yeah, you mentioned that there was kind of a constant in his personality. I've known him much longer than you, maybe 7 or 8 years, something like that. And so he was always pretty much the same the entire time I knew him. But going back 27 years, did his personality change much, or was he just always that exuberant, excited, joking kind of guy?
Yeah, you know, usually when you say someone hasn't changed, that means that they haven't grown. But in his case, I'd say that he didn't degrade. He started off, it seemed, with gratitude and enthusiasm for the opportunity, not just to work, but to be in community. And I felt it every single time I saw him, every single time. And sometimes it pissed me off because I wasn't in the same place, you know, but even that didn't seem to worry him too much. And because it didn't worry him, I end up just laughing along with him. He always won me over.
Yeah, that part of him, I think, is consistent, the playfulness of it. You know, I often talk about the smile and how I just remember him smiling, even when I just try to picture him in my head. it's with a smile. It's with a little smirk. It's it's this playfulness. But I have to agree with what you said. He did grow and evolve in the sense that he matured into himself. But the main essence of who he was is his humor, his playfulness, his approach to the seriousness approach to how he did his work. He was very passionate about when it was time to work, time to get it in. He made himself available. And that included in conventions as well. He was always there to the last minute, trying to make sure. He said, okay, I have to be here for this. I have to do these things, and I'm going to make sure I'm here from beginning to end and not cut any corners. He was always making himself available.
Right. And in the convention world, it's so easy for people to start, you see it, people being bitter and feeling like something is being stolen from them, as opposed to, looking at it as an opportunity. And my God, people want to say hi to us. He was always very pure on that.
Speaking of the conventions, it does remind me that for the one time or the very few times I ever feel sorry for the star actors that are getting fawned over is when you're trying to get somewhere. I mean, you guys cannot get anywhere without people kind of like jumping at you or saying hi or whatever. But Aron, I swear it would take him 45 minutes just to get to Starbucks because there was no, hey, good to see you, but I'm in a hurry in him. It was always like, hey, good to see you. How's the family? What's new? How you been? And he would just spend his entire lunch break getting to the lunch place.
It was a very conscious decision, obviously, on his part of how he was going to treat people who liked his character and liked the show. Even if they didn't, he would give them time. And it's interesting, dopamine, what we release when we're having fun, helps attention because it helps release other chemicals in our body that help us focus and pay attention. So he actually did all our acting a service every time we worked with him because he would make us laugh.
Wow. That's pretty cool. Sirach, did you ever thank him for making you laugh on set?
Never. Not once. And I owe him a posthumous thank you, but he did make me laugh a lot. Never thanked him. We had the way we used to go back and forth was in a way that it was this constant jabbing back and forth at each other, and not to put each other down, but just to get the last word in or the last jab in, and so that's what I truly miss about how we used to go back and forth, because we would laugh at each other's own jabs, and that was the beauty of it. He enjoyed to even make fun of himself. He was one of the most self-deprecating people that I can think of.
That's right.
Yeah, and he liked to be called out for whatever it was that he was doing. He liked to be called out for in those moments. I remember many times I used to tell Aron, stop trying to put that person on the spot, or stop trying to make fun of this guy. And he would laugh because he knew that it was true. So I missed that.
Well, yeah, if somebody would come at him or jab him, then he was like, all right, my turn, It was like a challenge.
Oh, yeah.
And good humored with all of it.
Absolutely.
One of the things that he and I discussed, Nana, about the show when we were rewatching DS9 and getting to know all the characters all over again, was a real appreciation for what you did. And I remember him saying many times, man, she is awesome. Like, she is so kick-ass. And I think a lot of that had probably gone unnoticed by us because we didn't see those episodes. And we only had the moments where we worked with you together on our episodes. But seeing how badass you were, like right from the beginning, was something that he and I both really appreciate. And I think you should know that, from him and I both.
I can't imagine a more appreciated compliment. That means a lot, that you guys, you young men who grew up in this world would watch and think that. That means a lot.
It is just a testament to how you laid it down, and you don't back down one bit working with the actors that were with us on that show. You hold your own and then some, and the camera loves your face. I mean, the passion in your eyes, the passion in your spirit, I can feel it coming right through the lens. So I want to just congratulate you on just doing that great work.
Thank you, Sirach. That means so much. It means everything.
We loved it. And Aron also loved to be amongst actors and be considered a peer amongst actors. I think that was one of his biggest concerns was, the respect that he would get as an actor. And, I told Armin because he mentioned in his last words to Aron that he was a good actor.
Yeah.
And I think it meant a lot for Aron to be in the company of such good actors and such good acting.
It's weird. I think about the documentary, and I think how great that people got to see the fullness of who Aron was, but how bizarre that he's killed at the beginning of the show and then we lose him.
Yeah.
So the last person I ever thought. He was so brave about his physical struggles that I really got fooled by the fact that nothing could get him, nothing at all. So it was when my husband is actually the one who told me. He read it online. I hadn't been online. And he said, Nana, I'm so sorry, but I've got to tell you. And I did what I did during 9/11. I watched the buildings go down and I went, well, thank God no one was in the buildings, at least, because that was the level that I could accept. I couldn't accept knowing that there were people without, I don't know, exploding. And when my husband told me, I went, I don't know an Aron Eisenberg. Just was completely unwilling to accept it for, I'd say, a full minute. And then it got in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He definitely had that kind of personality, like you say, that he acted almost as though he were invincible, which made us believe.
I believed it.
We're invincible. Like, no matter his physical limitations, he didn't have the personality of woe is me or remember I'm sick, everybody. Like he was.
Never.
He acted like he was a superhero, and so we all believed he was.
And he dressed like one. He wore fingerless gloves and a cap, and I bought it all as that's just the wild guy he is.
Yeah.
We forgot about that, Sirach. We were going to wear beanies and
fingerless gloves.
No, and flannels.
Flannels.
But we forgot about the fingerless gloves. Thank you for reminding us of the
light jackets.
Yeah. Oh yeah. The whole picture. I have such a clear image of him.
But you mentioned the documentary, and one of the things that stand out to me was a vulnerability that came out during an interview in the documentary, where he really gets shaken up in his voice, and you can see him tearing up. And I think that was the first time he revealed that side of himself to me, you know. So when I saw the documentary, it actually was the first sign of vulnerability for me that I had seen Aron display. And it let me know that how passionate he was about the feelings, how deeply he felt about the work, and how people received it.
Yeah. I feel like we're lucky to have that documentation of that, and that they got that. I'm grateful. I'm grateful for that.
Absolutely. And they released an extended version of his interview a couple weeks ago. I don't know if you saw that, but it's really
No.
okay.
No.
I'll send it to you.
I would love that. I'd
yeah,
love that.
it was the actual like you know, Deep Space Nine documentary Twitter page and Facebook page that released an extended version of that.
Cool.
Really cool. Really cool.
That's nice.
That. And speaking of which, I mean, I did want to talk a little bit more about Aron the actor as well, since that's kind of how you knew him for 7 years. Did you ever do things like deliver lines in a way that you would have not expected? Because he seems like he was the kind of guy. Avery Brooks too. Oh my God, I feel like he did every single line in a way I wouldn't have expected. But I feel like Aron might have gotten a little creative with how he delivered lines every once in a while, or choices that he made. Do you ever remember little things that he would do, or?
I certainly remember him doing that, and I felt like he was surprising even himself, which is a wonderful way to stay alive and in the present moment as an actor. So I always respected the surprising moment that he would bring, and it just made him more of a well, you can't say human, more of a sentient being, more of a spirit that I could understand and feel close to, because he had rough edges and unexpected things to him.
Yeah, I worked with Aron on perhaps his worst day as an actor.
What was that?
Hear about it.
Well, we've talked about it, but it was the day that we had to do the self-sealing stem bolts episode. And he couldn't get through the word self-sealing stem bolt. He just kept stuttering it out and stumbling over the words.
What was it, 19 takes, you said?
It was 19 takes. And I think take number 16 or 17, he finally got it right. And I fucked up because, I'm sorry. I screwed up because I wasn't expecting him to get it right. So I'm standing there like just staring at him like, wow, you got it right. And then he's like, yeah, say your lines, man. This is a wonder. But so that was perhaps his worst day, because he always brings it up. I'm sure he's never done 19 takes before. It's not a usual thing. So I feel like I was there on his worst day. I wasn't there on his best, which I would probably say was Pale Moonlight, as far as Paper Moon. I'm sorry. I think that's his best single episode for him. But I wasn't part of that episode. You know?
It was also his best opportunity, right?
Yeah, he really showed.
And he took it.
Yeah, it showed that same vulnerability which he revealed in the documentary. So it's almost like it encaptured that in the episode. It was brought back in the documentary, and those are the sides of Aron that he protects with his humor. That's the side of him that, you know, he uses his intellect and his playfulness to protect, which is that really deep, passionate feeling for things.
Yeah.
You know, Sirach, just to be a voice of the millions of nerds out there, you were in that episode. You were.
Well, don't spoil it for me.
But he probably wasn't present for those scenes, right?
In Paper Moon, you brought in like a girlfriend at the time and visited him in the Hollow Suite, and he was rude to your girlfriend, and then you guys got in like a little tussle, and then you left. But you're right; it was basically a James Darren and Aron Eisenberg episode.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the best scenes that he gave was the scenes I think that he did with Darren, where he reveals that, you know, that he's going through this PTSD. So yeah, I just meant that particular thing. But yeah, don't ruin the episode for me. I haven't gotten to it yet. Still on season 2, episode 1.
We got like 100 more episodes to go before we even scrape
I
that
know.
one.
Oh, you have a lot of Bajoran religion to get through right now.
Well,
right?
you know what? I like it. I like it.
Do you?
I like it because religion and politics are very difficult to talk about in real terms, right? Because everybody's attached to something in their own real lives. But it is easier to explore these ideas in the fiction of it. And I like it when you talk about the same issues outside of the same names and labels that we know them as, and you take it outside of that context and you discover what your own challenges to your belief systems are, or how you view your own beliefs. So I enjoy it.
Oh,
Absolutely.
good. I like that.
Yeah. What I think is interesting is that is the dichotomy of your character, which under today's circumstances would probably be viewed more as a terrorist.
Oh God, yes.
Than as a freedom fighter.
Freedom fighter. Yeah.
Right. Which is just interesting how delicate that line is.
Yeah.
Between perspective, right? One day you're this, and the next day you're this.
And it shows really that it just depends on who you ask. It depends on what side you ask, and that's the label they're going to give that person. If you ask the person, they're a freedom fighter. If you ask the other side, they're going to say terror.
Well, I'll give an example in today's headlines. A person like Julian Assange would be considered a freedom fighter to some for revealing information, and to others, he's a terrorist, bringing down governments and exposing things he shouldn't be. So, you know, however you see it.
That's the beauty of science fiction. We just have a little bit of space so that we don't have to react to it, but we can respond or think of how we would respond.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's one of the beauties of DS9 and the show, and the strong characters that we had on the show, was the fact that we were able to explore these kinds of things and not be a show that was too popcorny or too much about just action and adventure as opposed to good storytelling.
Right. That's right.
And you know, it's often been said, and I think it's a really a non-discussion, but most people say that Nog's character had the most character development and the biggest story arc of any character on any Star Trek series ever. And I think that's the case. What do you think, Nana?
I think that could be true. Although no one talked about Major Kira's post-traumatic stress, but she was certainly suffering from it as well. That was the reason she was the way she was. Right. So, and she also went through an arc, but she didn't deal with the loss of a limb or anything like that. That's for sure.
No, Major Kira's character went through a huge arc, and I think Deep Space Nine, I think that's kind of the hallmark of Deep Space Nine, is their characters went through full arcs, whereas other series didn't. Others were just the procedural, almost episodic kind of thing. Kira went through an enormous arc.
But it was always in relationship, and Nog's was in relationship. He learned, he changed from the people around him. It wasn't just in a vacuum, you know? And that's what makes it so truthful and useful, what he did. I think maybe it's true that he did the most change, his character.
Yeah, not necessarily the arc, but the change, like from where he started to where he ended, is a very drastic change, you know, from being, you know, the troublemaker kid who doesn't know how to read to eventually being a leader. That's a lot. I think that's a long way to go. and I don't know who it was. I want to say Ira said that he did about 47 episodes of the show, and that's a lot of episodes for a guest star. I think the most, as a matter of fact, for all the guest stars.
Is that true? Garrick, Andy Robinson may have had more. I'm not sure.
I believe Nog was more.
Nog was more?
I could do a quick check, but I think Nog was not only the most in Deep Space Nine, but probably of all the series. Andy Robinson was in the low 30s, I think, maybe.
Is that right?
He was just much more active later on. So that's why we feel like Garrick was in every episode. He was only in like 1, maybe 2 episodes in the first season.
1 in the first season.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So he came around a lot, and he was also a bridge between characters, which is an interesting role to play, because a lot of the characters are set with their adversaries or their friends, and it's a set relationship, and so you rarely see interaction between some characters, right? For example, Terry and I didn't have that many scenes together.
Right.
I think Sid and I had a few scenes together, but it wasn't that many, as many as, for example, Aron and I did. But what he was is like this bridge between Starfleet and the Ferengi. He was that kind of a bridge character where you can go in here, peer into the mind of these people and how they think, and then go into here and see how he's applying that or not applying it. So I think that was a real challenge. I think
with that perspective in mind, he absolutely was the biggest shifting character. He made the most change. I totally get that.
Yeah.
Especially starting off as a character that was in his youth. The actor wasn't in it necessarily in his youth, but he was playing a young character, so that leaves us the most opportunity for growth as well. Here's the answer to our speculation. Aron Eisenberg, 47 episodes. Andy Robinson and Max Grodenchik are both 37. Mark Alimo, 35, and Jeff Combs, 32.
Wow.
That's an all-star group right there, too.
Wow. Incredible. We had the most, it's not a guest cast.
So outside the regular cast, Aron was the number one to show up, basically, as far as episode-wise. So that's why we really felt, I felt a connection with Aron. I worked so much with him. He made himself so available. I know all of us come in there, and it's so early in the morning, and people just want to get their makeup in, study their scenes for the day, and get in the wardrobe. But Aron would start off with this energy, like, hey, how's it going? Let's get started. But it's like, I'm not warmed up yet. It was still before 8. Right? Give me a second,
What was the age difference between the two of you?
So Aron was 10 years older than me. So when I first started at 14, he would be around 24.
And how did that figure? Because you're playing equals. You're playing...
Well, I thought he was my equal for a long time, as far as age-wise.
Really?
I never saw him outside of the makeup. Every time I did a scene with Aron, he was already in makeup. And so when I saw him all done up and being the same size as me, and smaller even, and having this playful, joking personality, I said, oh, he's got to be the same age as me.
So he never played the I'm older than you card.
He had never played the I'm older than you card. Actually, he was actually liking that we would get along well and preferred that we had this kind of eye-to-eye, peer-to-peer type relationship. And I remember, you say, when does it start? My memory of Aron starts when I first saw him outside of makeup. And
you saw a man.
And I saw a grown man who was balding at 25 years old. And so I remember seeing him. I was coming out of the makeup trailer, and Aron was walking down the alley, and towards the trailer, and he says, "Hey, what's up, Ciroc?" And I looked at him, and I was like, "Who is this guy?" And I gave him one of these faces. He's like, "It's me, Aron Eisenberg."
Isn't that weird?
You know your friend, Nog? And he had to explain himself. I was like, "Dude, I thought you were like my age."
Thought you were a toddler.
Yeah, that's exactly what I told him. I thought you were my age. He's like, "No, man, I'm grown. I already got a kid or something." I think he's like, "Yeah, I got a son already." And that was the first earliest memory of Aron that I can remember. And then he puts the makeup back on, and I see him the next day, and I just go right back to thinking he's a kid.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So we only have a couple minutes left with Nana and Luciano, who's been stealing the show this whole time. But Nana, I did want to ask you, is there something about Aron, a quality, a memory, something that he would do, that you want the world to know, just something about him that you want to make sure that everybody knows about?
The sense that he would work with an open heart, that I always felt like I was looking at his spirit when we worked. And it was a spirit that was playing the archetype of the clown. But when he looked at me, it was spirit looking at another spirit. And that's like going to church.
Somebody was saying that, and in a previous one, it might have been Armin, was saying that he was just kind of almost like an advanced human being in that regard.
Yeah. Yeah. It's a good way of saying it.
Yeah. Ciroc, anything you'd like to add to that?
No, I think Nana said it best about his spirit. And, one thing that I know that he enjoyed was laughing. He'd want us to laugh and continue laughing. He enjoyed us as friendship, and he wanted us to continue just to smile and keep laughing. I think that's the best way we could honor his memory. But I like when you said, Nana, that I completely bought it when he came with his beanie and his gloves and his jacket, and he was ready to go. And he was just like the tough guy, I was like, hey, no questions asked. I buy it. And I really love that about him. He's, he owned who he was. He wasn't shy about who he was. He put it all out there, and we got the real Aron. We got the real Aron.
Great. Well, thank you so much for joining us, Nana. We really appreciate your words and thoughts and memories shared about Aron. We do hope to see you again real soon, and I wish you a lot of luck in traffic today. Sorry about that.
Thank you, and good luck with this podcast moving forward. All the best.
Thank you, Nana.
Glad you're doing.
I think Ciroc hit the nail on the head. We just have to keep on laughing and having fun, and and his legacy will live on. He'll be happy. Absolutely.
Yeah.
That's why he brought us all here for a reason. I mean, this is his brainchild. So this is what he wanted. So let's continue it.
We're Frankenstein's monster. He created this beast.
Go on with your bad selves and do it then. Much love to you both.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Nana. And for all of you at home, always remember the 7th rule.